to get up. It's time to get up. It's time to get up. Yeah. It's time to get moving. It's time to get up. Yeah. It's time to get moving. Hey.
Good morning, y'all. Let's talk about that morning after recap. You ever wake up and suddenly remember everything that you did the night before? And not in a fun, oh, last night was amazing kind of way, but in a way, did I actually say that kind of way? Cringe. Shout out to all the church folk, because I know we love to say the joy comes in the morning. And yes, it does. But sometimes, so does regret. He be showing up with some extra large side of shame and then an extra tall glass of, why didn't I just shut up? You be like, oh, so you just had to overshare. You gonna just overshare all your life. Your big old grown oversharing self. Girl, you won't even on a podcast. Look, I be telling myself, ain't no mic. Ain't nobody even ask you for all of that. And the worst part, the right words and the mature responses, the level-headed advice, they don't be showing up until the next day. The day after, when you're sitting there reflecting. You know, oversharing is actually a trauma response. Oh, so now you got some therapy. Where was all this coffee talk yesterday when I was out here coughing, talking too much? Now I'm sitting here like thinking about all the stuff I did last night, like, got to be more careful. And I do. We do. Sometimes. And that's why today's coffee talk is all about making things right with the people in our lives. Because some of us, and I'm talking about me, some of us got some apologizing to do. And later in this show, our This Time Next Year guest is Kasie Purvis, host of the Gather the Scattered podcast. And today we're talking about building community, finding your people, and making a new place feel like home. So grab your coffee, your tea, your lemon water, whatever you got, and meet me for more laughing this morning.
Searching for higher education, a supportive network, and a place to make lifelong friendships? Say hello to Virginia Wesleyan University in Virginia Beach. Virginia Wesleyan is a must-see. To schedule a campus tour, go to vwu.edu/explore.
Welcome back to the More Laughing in the Morning show. I am Allison, the comedian, a human resources consultant by day, and everybody's hype girl by morning. Hey, you get a hype, you get a hype, you get a hype, you get a hype. Everybody gets a hype. You know who else gets a good hype today? People who are planning to be intentional. People who are planning to be intentional about making things right, baby. Listen, you get a hype today. If you're gearing up to be humble, you all right with me. Because it takes work. It takes some energy. It takes a little boldness, some confidence. You get an extra hype today during this coffee talk. Today's coffee talk is sponsored by Black Please Coffee. Grab a good cup of coffee today, and let's have a great pep talk about making things right. So listen, sometimes we be taking these L's with people. And then later on, we realize, whew, okay, so maybe I didn't handle that the best way I could have. But let me tell you something. Recognizing that means that your L is not really a loss. It's a lesson. And there is time to make it better. Today. You see my jazz hands? Here's our affirmation today, y'all. I release pride and ego and make space for understanding and forgiveness. Look, I'm with you, okay? Here's my story. So every week, my production team, we meet to help level up our small independent production and make it better and better for you every week, right? Now let me tell you, my team right here, they serious about pushing for greatness. So last week in our team meeting, the team, who I love very much so dearly, they sat me down, had to have a hard conversation, was like, Allison, we need to talk about the coffee talk set. So I'm like, okay, what's up? So they hit me with the coffee cart needs some redesigning. And the Powerpuff Girl mugs gotta go because they're distracting.
Gosh.
The mugs? My mugs? My beloved Powerpuff Girl mugs, they've been riding with me from the beginning. Y'all, I was in my feelings, okay? I was low-key a little offended because I really felt like that they were coming for my set, knowing full well that we got limitations on what we could do around here, you know. It's baby steps. So I'm like, so you trying to say our set is ugly? I was in my feelings, for real. Like, I'm sensitive. Keep in mind, I'm an artist. So I'm like, your mama ugly. But then I sat with it. And the truth is, their mama is ugly. Okay. She is, but she ain't had to catch that stray. She did not deserve that stray. And if the set is distracting and confusing to the team, well, it's doggone sure gonna be confusing to you, the audience. And what do I always say? I'm everybody's hype girl, right? So I'm out here, I'm trying to pep you up and put you in a great mood for the day. I don't then want to be counterproductive and overstimulate you. Y'all trying to stay focused and you out here short-circuiting because you don't know how to keep up. Like, what is happening? Where are we going with this? What's happening? And plus, honestly, set decoration on a micro budget, I mean, that's not my subject expertise. It's okay, girl. There's no ego, right? It's not my ministry. So today, I'm making this right. I'm making it right. So here's what we're doing today, okay? This is a small thing, but sometimes, y'all, it's the small things that we hold on to with pride and ego. When we don't want to admit things are wrong that we've done, that, you know, someone else might have a better perspective to us, or when we have made someone feel uncomfortable, those small things we are holding on to, we got to let those things go. So what's my affirmation today? I release pride and ego and make space for understanding and forgiveness. Watch me work, okay? Hey, Buttercup. I am removing this stuff, okay? Y'all see this in real time. This is the last time you're going to see them on my set. They give me power, but it don't matter, right? I'm removing it because if the set is ugly, then I need to make room for some nice stuff. I think that's what's happening anyway. They got some nice stuff for me. Making things right, though, with my team, that's really what's important. So, dear team, y'all, you hear me? I know that you're watching. I hope you watching this, right? Yeah. I know that you are probably cheering because I'm releasing my ego.
Woo-hoo! Yes. Amen.
Okay. Oh.
Go ahead, girl.
All right. Listen. Thank you. And I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry for calling your mama ugly. She is. Okay, all right. Well, okay, I'm sorry. My bad. I'm sorry for calling your mama ugly. Sometimes I'm just jealous because you got your mama, y'all. That's all. I miss my mama. She in heaven, so, you know, y'all get to look at your ugly mama every day.
Aww.
Give me a hug.
Thank you. But now, seriously, over to you, fam. I want you to think about it. Is there anything that maybe in your life right now that you, or something that you need to make right? You know, is there a mug that you're holding on to? It's some habit, decision, or even a relationship where you've been more committed to your ego than doing the right thing? Because listen, when we resist change, we make things harder for ourselves. And when we refuse to make things right, we block our own blessings. I know that's not what we're trying to do. So let's do it together. Let's release, refresh, and make things right. When life moves us to new places, whether for a job, family, or military orders, finding a sense of belonging can be tough. Kasie Purvis turned her own experience of feeling disconnected into a powerful podcast that helps others find their people. And if you ever struggle to build a support system in a new place, you already know how hard that is, and this one is for you. So stick around for this time next year. I see you.
I knew it.
Time's up.
Don't you touch that.
There is an easier way to see if your home is energy efficient. Start your free energy audit today at virginianaturalgas.com. Take control of your energy bills with the Energy Efficiency Program from Virginia Natural Gas.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to the More Laughing in the Morning show. This time next year is the segment where we talk about the steps we can take today to be in a better place personally, professionally, and in this case, socially by this time next year. Today's guest is someone who truly understands what it's like to start over in a new place and, you know, when you're feeling a little lost. Kasie is the host of Gather the Scattered, a beautiful podcast that encourages connection, community, and support, especially for those who find themselves in that kind of lost, unfamiliar territory. She and I met back in South Carolina a few years ago when I took a job there during the pandemic. Her husband was stationed there on military orders, right? And our sons, they bonded over soccer. And just like that, we were stuck like glue. She and I found common ground. We were two women trying to make a new place feel like home, especially while keeping it together for these kids. So how do you build a support system when you feel like an outsider? And what does it really take to create true community from scratch? Well, we're about to find out. Y'all, please welcome my friend, my homegirl, Kasie.
I am so happy to be here. Oh my word. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Friend, thank you for being here. I am so glad you're here because this is like a thing. You know, like 3 years ago when I'm talking to you and we're learning each other, and I'm like, you know, back home, I got a talk show, I got a show, and one day I'm going back to my show. You just wait. When I make it out of here. Well, shout out to South Carolina. Listen, so when I was thinking about, you know, our journey, you know the first thing I thought about?
I can't imagine, but I have a feeling.
It's a suspense. Wait for it. You ready? When we went to open mic. Okay, y'all, so look, you know, I do got some questions for Kasie because I want her to pour into us today, but I got to tell y'all this story. So my girl Kasie, she is soccer mom 1, I'm soccer mom 2, and, you know, we're learning each other. Like, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I'm a stand-up comedian. She's like, oh my God, that is so cool. And then I'm like, yeah, and I said, well, you know, I got to practice. You have to work that craft, and you got to go to open mic. Kasie's like, well, I'll go with you anytime you want. I'll go with you. I was like, for real? And I said, will you get on stage? Will you do it too? And Kasie was like, I've never done that, but you know what? I'll try it. Kasie went to open mic. Get up, Kasie. You know what? You just get a clap because you went to open mic and did a good job. And you know, the comments was like, oh, this your first time? And you were like, I'm just here to have some fun.
It was so fun. It was really a good time, but I think that's just like meeting new friends. I think that's a really, really good way that you put that. You know, we went to open mic. I've never done that before, but I think that's the great thing about learning from other people. Like you're gonna enter into their world, and you can both teach each other something.
For sure. And I'm glad that our worlds had each other enter into them because I learned a lot from you. That experience in South Carolina was a beautiful, meaningful season in my life, and I'm glad I got you as a result of it. You were one of my trinkets. My takeaways. I was here. I got my friend Kasie.
And I'll never do open mic ever again.
Really?
Only with you. There's no way, because you give people confidence to do that. I have to be honest.
But you were so good, Kasie. Okay. All right. So look, we're going to talk about that later. Listen, y'all, we'll see on this time next year when we bring Kasie back if she'll come out. Maybe when you come to Virginia, because you got to visit me in my hometown. So when you come to Virginia, maybe we'll do an open mic. That'll be fun as heck. Okay, so listen, so let me get into these questions so that we're helpful for our This Time Next Year community, because you are that girl that I feel like is perfect for this conversation. There are a lot of people like you, and I mean, I'm in Virginia, so this is like a military town. A lot of people who like you and I right now who have recently relocated and or rebuilding their tribe and their community. That said, because we know what it feels like to land in a new place and not really feel like we belong. What part of that experience or a transition is the hardest part for you?
You know, I think the hardest part is because when you're going into a new community, you you feel new, and not everybody knows that you're new. Nobody knows. Everybody's kind of stuck in their routine or how they're doing things, and sometimes people don't have room for you. And I think the one thing I was looking for when, we started on this military active duty career is like when I moved there, I was looking for the welcome party, right? Like I was like, I have arrived. I have arrived. Like I'm here right now. Where's my people? Like where's the banjo? Where's the drums? Like where's the balloons? Like, hey, you made it, you're here. Like welcome. I was looking for that. And I think that was the first disappointment for me, because I was, you felt a little lonely, and you don't know nobody. Your kids don't know nobody. And I think that was really probably the hardest transition. But I think whenever you feel lonely in that way, you really have to set it a mission to go out and find those people.
I think that's when you said it, I'm like, oh, that's good, Kasie, because you're right. Like people don't know that you knew. I'm just walking around like it's my first time in this Walmart here. Hello, and they're like, okay, girl, when did you get here? Like people like, oh, some people will, ask a couple of probing questions, but for the majority, they don't care, and you do feel isolated. So when we're talking about overcoming isolation, a lot of people, they struggle with kind of, putting themselves out there.
Absolutely.
Well, let me say this. Okay. So a lot of people struggle with putting themselves out there, whether it's introducing themselves to neighbors or attending like local events alone. What advice do you have for someone who like feels stuck in that isolation, in need of that community?
So I'll tell you what someone told me one day. I was living in North Carolina at the time, and I was inviting this person to go, I think, to a local festival. And she said, Kasie, no, I don't want to go because you like to go where the people are and I don't. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So my advice from then on, and what I realized about myself, is that I do go where the people are. And I think if you don't go where the people are, you're never going to find them. So, go to those festivals, go to those community events, go to the Bunko group in your neighborhood.
The what?
The Bunko. Have you never heard of Bunko? Okay, I will have to say, this was the first time I'd ever played Bunko is when I moved to Georgia.
Game?
It's a card game. You don't even have to have luck. There's no strategy to it. Just basically turning over cards. It's real easy. But so go to some of your neighborhood events.
Okay.
There's normally a list of places on your community page where there's a lot of those different things. Your local coffee shops, there are pages of stuff and advertisements everywhere. But you just have to go where the people are, because if you don't, you're just going to stay stuck with yourself.
See, first of all, I've never heard of a bunco. And just in case, maybe bunco's not your thing, go to find a spades party or poker. But, next time we meet up, teach me how to play bunco, because I gotta continue to be diverse. You know what I'm saying? I gotta expand my palette, and I gotta blend in with the bunkos. But all right, so when we're talking about like creating these intentional connections, because that's what is intentionality around it. Like you have to go to place, like you said, where people are, and have this mindset of like I am trying to connect, and that is a thing. Some people are like, I'm just so lonely, I don't know anybody here, but I'm not going out with anybody. I won't go meet anyone. So there is this shift in mindset that we have to do for those of us who really truly want to build community and connection. That's part of why I just one time for my girl in the podcast, Gather the Scatter, because again, that was something when we used to be at practice and talking about the things that we want, and you're like, I really want to have a podcast. I'm like, girl, you should do it. So when you talk about Gather the Podcast, what are some Gather the Scattered podcast, and it being all about helping people connect, what are some practical ways that you can feel that people can feel more connected by this time next year? Like, what are some of the things that you talk about on the podcast?
So, so some of the things I talk about on the podcast is just building friendships and how to do that. Looking at yourself and realizing why you're needing a new community, because you could be in your own hometown right now trying to look for your own community, because you might have just moved across town, and you don't really know anybody across town, anymore. It doesn't have to be necessarily that you move to a state. It could be that you just moved to a new city, the neighboring city that you just moved to. And so I talk about a lot of those things. I have guests on talking about those things. I actually have a guest that's going to come on soon, and we're going to talk about grief, like the 5 stages of grief on like when you're moving, because you're grieving whenever you lost something, right? Yeah. And then you're grieving when you get there, and so there's a lot of emotions that really kind of come alongside that. And so I have a lot of guests on there like that. I have a guest that that's coming on soon, and she is going to be talking about, she's coming out with a new book called Desperate Woman Seeks Friends. And so I really try to bring people on that can really connect to this lifestyle that, if you move for a professional career, you move for military, or for whatever reason is moving to you're moving for, even for family, there might be someone sick. There might be some times that you're facing that you don't really know you might need, a podcast episode on building friendships, and a podcast episode on resilience and grief, and just different things like that you didn't know that you were going to face.
That's good. So I think that is such a clear answer, right? When we talk about how do you encourage people to connect? Well, I make episodes on different ways that your experience could be experienced. That grief one, let me shout out to you. I might have to holler at your grief counselor and have them on the show, because I have last week, week before, we had a leader of a behavioral health center locally, and we went down the path of grief, and that's definitely the layers of grief. I lost my house, lost my parents, lost a job, lost my hometown. So I love that. I love that conversation. I can't wait to hear that. So I got a real quick question before we leave. When you said about, helping people to learn how to build a friendship, I'm thinking like, because with you and I, we 100% have a friendship. Like sometimes there are, you're just being nice and you're using the word loosely, but we definitely went through experiences of a friendship and have remained friends even after we moved, which is now like 2 years we haven't lived near each other.
Yeah.
How do you break that down, or what do you say for there are people who are they want new friends, they're trying to build friendships. I was close to a couple of people in South Carolina when I was there, and then talked to them since. So what do you say for people who are trying to build a friend? Like, what goes into building a friendship?
I think you really just have to know what you're looking for. And I know that can sound harsh, but it's honest. So if it depends on what season of life you're in, like if you're in the toddler phase, you're going to look for friends that are that are moms that have toddlers too, so you can learn from each other. And I think coming from a place of being open is really important. Open and honest is just really important. And if a friendship doesn't work out, it's okay, because you can still be really, really good people, and they're just and there might just be a personality conflict. So I think just really going into a friendship and just realizing that you need to be open is really the number one thing, because that other person is, if that person's looking for a friend and you're looking for a friend, it could be a beautiful relationship.
It could be a beautiful relationship. All right, friend, before you go, what's on your this time next year? What is your this time next year goal for Kasie?
So I would love to eventually bring the Gather the Scattered guests outside of the podcast and together. I would love to bring them together, bring my listeners together, and hopefully have something along those lines in a couple of different cities where people have a place to go, when they are moving, they're new, and they finally have a place to connect.
I love this for you. Well, keep us posted. Well, I think it'll be really cool to follow that journey with you, and then see your by this time next year. Because the last time we had it this time next year ago, that girl did it. You were like, I think I want a podcast. I was like, you should do it. She came back next week. It was like, I got a podcast, Allison. I was like, oh shoot. Oh Lord, girl, you done I done got a podcast too, and I ain't even did mine. So I'm proud of you. Shout out for continuing to go. To grow and invest in it. And thank you for gathering the scattered and for being a guest on today's show. I'll make sure to share all of how we can follow you and about the podcast in our credits and on our website. And I appreciate you. I love you, friend.
Thank you, friend. Thank you so much for having me. It was a blast.
Yes, it was. It was a blast having you. All right, I'll talk to you soon, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Toodles.
Bye.
Okay, y'all, don't go anywhere because we have more laughing this morning. Kasie, will you dance with me?
Oh, Lord. You're not asking me to do this. Okay. I'll dance with you.
I got to talk to you about dancing with me, okay? But listen, cool kids. Any cool kids in the house? I have something to tell you as well. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break. What a show, y'all. We started the morning talking about why didn't I just shut up? You know, those moments. And listen, I'm still recovering. I get it. Big thanks to Black Please Coffee for our coffee talk today, reminding us that sometimes we got to go back and make things right. Even if it means that awkward, hey, so about yesterday. It happens, okay? Thank you to our sponsors, Virginia Wesleyan, for sponsoring today's This Time Next Year conversation with my friend Kasie Purvis, host of Gather the Scattered podcast. She dropped some gems, y'all. Didn't Kasie drop some gems about building community, finding your people, making friends, and making a new place feel like home? I'm so glad she stopped by today because let's be real. Sometimes finding the right people is harder than finding matching Tupperware with a lid. I don't understand why the Tupperware and the lid don't. Anywho, remember, you are invited to join our This Time Next Year community, okay? We meet virtually for accountability sessions and monthly for meetups and events, so you do not have to thrive alone. All right, now normally we end our show with credits and dancing with the guests. I like to celebrate the episode and a great day ahead, but I've decided to start something new. So before you go, I'll oftentimes share where the cool kids are hanging out so you'll know what's happening and where to pull up. Right after the credits, okay? I'm always down to meet up with like-minded people, but I'm not always gonna go, but I do still wanna know. Bars. So, if you're like me, you wanna know. And I will keep you in the loop to check it out right after we dance, okay? All right, toodles.
Searching for higher education, a supportive network, and a place to make lifelong friendships? Say hello to Virginia Wesleyan University in Virginia Beach. Virginia Wesleyan is a must-see. To schedule a campus tour, go to vwu.edu/explore.